Hello everyone, my name is Dipesh Thakur, and in the window you see the host is Tenzin Kuntia. You've interacted with him in the registration process. I, on behalf of the cows, welcome you all. Usually for NDC and our Nalanda courses, we have participants from close to 45 countries. So it looks like it's quite a big group today. We have right now 236 participants from many countries. So thank you for joining, and I'll just briefly spend a few minutes and just to orient you, around the course as shortly as I can. So we made an announcement with brief points. So I think most of you probably would have seen the announcement. So essentially, in terms of logistics, we'll have classes every Sunday, 5 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Wednesday. The times that I'm mentioning are Indian Standard Time. So on the portal, you would see the times published are based on Indian Standard Time. Many of you, I know, I can see are very familiar faces from previous NDC and NMC batches, but majority of you, I think, are joining the course for the first time. So first of all, this is not like a regular course that you go to a university or any other institute, and you will experience this, what I'm saying, as we go along the course. So you just need to relax and, let the teachings kind of, absorb the teachings as we go along, if this is the first time for you for any Tibetan Buddhist Center, then as I mentioned, our director of the Tibetan and our teacher, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul. So we usually prefix Venerable for any monastics in this tradition as a sign of respect. And Geshe is roughly equivalent to a PhD degree. It's quite rigorous study. If some of you know, they spend 14, 15 hours a day studying, debating, attending classes, for in certain monasteries, probably close to 2 decades. So it's a quite extensive, and since we are also cultural center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, His Holiness also is a Geshe, and in the Geshe degrees, you have like various levels. So the Larampa Geshe is the highest level. So that's basically, and if you want to know more about the teacher, I've sent a link. So that's essentially about the teacher. In terms of the course, this usually we have the course for 1.5 years, but this time we've designed it in 10 months because just a brief history, about 2016, we requested Geshe to start something for the serious students because we've attended many talks, many short retreats that Geshe would conduct in Tibet House and outside Delhi. So we felt a need that Geshe, we need to go a little bit more detail for some of us. So if he can, give us teaching, he very kindly agreed. So we started what today is known as Nalanda Master's Course. So as we started, still the registrations will keep pouring in even after 1.5 years of, we call Nalanda Master's Course NMC. So registrations were pouring in, and it was difficult to say no to people and take them after 1.5 years. So we created this NDC, and the batch that you have joined in, this is the third batch. We've completed 2 batches earlier. So we created NDC sometime in 2017, but Nalanda Master's Course was conceived in 2016, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama very kindly launched this course in December, 9th of December 2016 in a stadium in Delhi, and it was a big gathering there. And then we started teaching in 2017. So the idea of NDC 3, there are many people who attended NDC 1, NDC 2, and they're waiting for the second batch of NMC. So we created this batch NDC 3, which is slightly shorter duration. And the idea is that we can finish in time. When we finish NMC 1, we will finish our current batch NDC 3 so that more people can get opportunity to join NMC batch 2. So that's essentially the idea. For some of you, you may not be very clear about joining NMC. Don't worry about it. But I just was giving just a brief background in terms of the course duration and how this will go. So we'll having 2 semesters. The current semester we're starting today, and we'll finish sometime middle of December. And we'll have a short break, and we start again in January, and we'll try and finish everything by mid-May. So that's very briefly the roadmap where will we go. The portal, the education portal, will be kind of the cornerstone where you'll find all the information. So get used to it. Try and get. I mean, for some of you, if technology is a challenging issue, don't worry. We are there to help you. You can just email us. The idea is not to get technically savvy. The idea is to just focus on the teachings. As long as you can log in, look at the audio video recording, get the link for live stream or WebEx. If you have question, you can post on the forum. Your job is done. For example, if you need to know how to drive, you don't need to know how a car is designed. As long as you know how to drive, it's perfectly fine, right? So just focus on the portal in terms of keeping it simple and getting the most what you need. And if you get stuck, me and Kuntyapla, and again, in the Tibetan, we suffix la as a sign of, again, respect. It's a way of respecting people. So you would often see people addressing each other and putting a la behind. So if people are there are from Malaysia and Singapore, there's no relation. I think in Singapore and Malaysia also you guys say la, but that's a very different connotation. So Kuntyapla is here and myself, we are a small team and we are also supported by audio video team, admin people. So, Tibet House is a small team, about 14, 15 people. So that's briefly about the course. We start every session usually with prayers and end with dedication. We've uploaded the prayer book, which is called The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicitta. It's a result of many, many years of, compilation by, Venerable Geshe. You would often see, even in teachings of His Holiness, many of the text and many of the verses are recited during the teachings of His Holiness. So, it's a great amount of effort and it's an ongoing effort. So it may be that a new version will come out soon, but for now we are using the edition 4. And as we go along, if there's a new version, we'll make announcements. In terms of announcements, we put the announcement on the portal. If I can request everyone to mute themselves. Yeah, thank you. So on the portal, we put the announcement and it triggers an email. So for most of you, it may go into your spam. And if you're using Gmail, which I think about 80-85% of our participants use the Gmail as their preferred email, it either goes in your social tab or promotions tab. So be mindful, because our best way to reach out right now, we are close to about 560 participants and registrations are still pouring in. So I don't know where we close. It's impossible for us to individually email people at this number. So we usually would put an announcement on the portal and it triggers an email to you, right? So if you have received any announcement or automatic email, if you are here, that means you did get a login. So you save that email address. Please don't reply to that, because we are using a hosting company for our education portal. To contact us, it's Nalanda Courses at the. All right. So I don't know where you guys lost me, but I think I'll repeat the most important part, that our touch point with all of you will be the portal, and we make announcement through the portal. So the email is triggered from the portal. So kindly save that email, so that's quite important. In terms of, for most of us, coming from the modern education, we would think that there is some course material, there are some books. Here, our main course material would be the verbal teachings that Venerable Geshe is giving us. That's something new for most of us. For me also, first time when I came in, many years ago to Tibet House or any such courses, it was little difficult. So allow yourself time to adjust to it. It'll be verbal teachings. And then we will also share transcripts from the previous batches as we go along. So you'll have some backup in terms of the transcripts from the previous batches. All right. There's no major course material per se. For certain classes, we may use certain handouts, but something can be, in terms of proper course material. Some of you have already emailed us. It's not there. It's going to be audio video recordings and the live sessions. All right, I think that's about it. Let me just go through my points. Yes, two more points that in terms of every session towards the end, Geshla will indicate that he's going to take questions. So you can hold off your questions. It's always better not to interrupt the flow in between. For most of you, because you're going to hear the teachings first time, there will be things where they are not clear. Write it down and then just wait for the question answer when the teacher tells us that, okay, I'm going to take questions. Initially, for the first few classes, there may not be the question answer session because, our teacher would want us to give us the material initially for first few classes. And then there could be questions, but we leave it entirely to our teacher when the question answer session is there. Okay. And we usually have weekly group discussions every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. India time, and deliberately we keeping the group discussion not starting immediately, but from 17. So people get used to the teachings, and if you have questions, you can wait for the group discussion. Usually, I will be there, and we'll have some people from the Nalanda Masters course also joining us. So it will be more like people asking questions and some senior students trying to answer. If we can't come to a good answer, then we take that question to Geshla, and in the next class or next to next class, the question would be answered. So that's the mode. If you want to check the schedule and things like that, again, it's available on the portal. So those are the things I think from my side. I think we'll leave it here. If anybody has any questions around logistics and everything, because Geshla has already arrived in the conference hall, so I don't want to take much time. If anybody has questions or anything, just email us and we'll be happy to answer your questions through email. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Tashi Delek. Tashi all of you. Thank you so much, Dibeshla. Thank you so much, Kuntabla. And thank you so much, Sirintundullah, our IT staff. In fact, for me, meeting with all of you, this is like a big family coming together after so many years. So I can see that many of you I've met already somewhere, sometime in the past. I can see many of my close friends from Nalanda Master's course, Nalanda Diploma course, Batch 1, Batch 2. And so this says, the first of all, what I will tell you is just welcome you all. And thank you so much, Tenzin Shugela Dibeshla. His Tibetan name is Tenzin Shugela. So the things that he made so clear, thank you so much. And in fact, this program, as Dibeshla very clearly indicated, that this actually came into being initially at the request of Dibeshla himself. He made the request that something of more systematic course, like 4 or 5 years course, can be created. And then this all came into being, and the blessings of His Holiness. And in fact, it was launched by His Holiness. Good thing about this in Delhi. And it was really very auspicious. Okay, so feel comfortable. Each one of you feel comfortable, and don't feel that you are in a different place, or some people may be so learned and so forth. We all come here to learn, including myself. So with this mind, just feel comfortable. And initially, so where you may pose some questions, and there may be a little bit of, say, because that everybody's new to each other, you may feel, that defensive. These things are bound to happen. The point is that feel at home. This is what I am reiterating. Feel at home, and should you have questions, particularly I would as the debate already indicated, that even in this class, I can see that there are many senior students there who were already with me for the last many years. And I can also see Dr. Nivedita here. Yeah. And so there, I see that there are many of you who are already exposed to the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology, and so forth. And so the point that I'm raising here is that should you have questions, then there are many seniors who are already doing the master's course, completing the master's course, and who are already investing so much of time on this, and whose knowledge is really very good. Not only knowledge, but translating the knowledge into one's practice. So I would request those seniors to give you answers to your questions, and your question can really benefit so many other people, because the answers coming from the seniors can really help others. And some of the questions which can be extremely stimulating, very helpful, I'll be most happy to help or respond. Okay, now before we go any further, first we have to keep in mind when I said that feel at home. When I say this, what I meant to say is, what do you want? This is my question. What for have you joined Nalanda Diploma Course Batch 3? What for? Right? And some of you may be, because the COVID was a terrible situation, and then anytime say something can happen to me, so I must spend my time more meaningfully in something like philosophy, psychology, whatever I get on the way. Some of you may have this thought, or some of you may feel that, okay, let me see how to explore my journey onward. So my question is, what brought you to Nalanda Diploma Course Batch 3? And this is a question. And in fact, this is not my question to the particularly those who are almost on the verge of completing the 5 years Nalanda Master's course, because not only you would give answers, but you would give very succinct and meticulous answers. I know that. But particularly those people who are new to this program, my question to you is, what for? What for? And be very honest to yourself, and particularly this class that we are doing here. Make sure that you feel yourself comfortable, make yourself comfortable, and the questions that is expected, just let it come from your heart, not necessarily from the philosophy that you've learned, from the magnificent philosophy that you've learned, but let the question come from heart. Whatever comes from heart, that is valuable. That is valuable. It doesn't matter. Don't think that, okay, my question may be so trivial. Don't think like that. As long as it's coming from your heart. Heart meaning that is a very genuine. That is a very genuine question that counts. So with this in mind, my question is, what for have you come for this program? This question. And some of you may say that, okay, it's interesting because this is a course, it's a diploma course. I may get some kind of certificate, hopefully, in the end. And then to join Delhi University course in Buddhist Studies, so they may give me a little bit of priority to get admission there. Or some of you may say that, no, it doesn't matter. For me, certificate is nothing. I just like to know, what is life? What's the purpose of life? And I learned that he spent little time with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I'm a great fan of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So just see, what he has to say. Okay, so we can have different thoughts, different views. The next question. This is a question usually I ask wherever I travel. What do you want? Well, you come to a place, you go to a place with some expectation that, I want to see if this is happening. So there's they say, the expectation within you. What is that? What is that expectation? What do you want? This question. This is how we're going to begin. And then towards the end of Nalanda Dibam course batch 3, let us all make it a point that we have the answers to this question. So the question is, what for have I come to this Nalanda Dibam course? This question. And then towards the end, you should have the answer. The fulfilling answer. Okay, this is how we begin. So the question is, what do you want? And say whether you can accomplish it or not accomplish it. At least let me be ambitious for you, that you should give yourself the maximum happiness. You should make yourself be away from all forms of miseries. In other words, my question is, in your life, who has been the one who is most kind to you? If I ask this question, you will say that most of you may say that my mom, my dad, or this person, that person, my husband, my wife, my son, my daughter. You can come up with different answers. In what way that person is kind to you? Because each one of us actually went through that process. Now, when I ask this question, you may think of something which happened to you after your teenage. After your teenage. So here I can see that there are two, three teenagers. Okay, the is there. I can see that. Okay, there are 2, 3 teenagers there. So what I'm saying is that most of us will give the answer that comes to your mind after when you become adult. When you become adult, who has been kind to you? You will try to relate to that person. So in what way that person is kind to you? And more interestingly, just think of that. In fact, sometimes we also say that the children, they have a very pure. They are very pure soul. This is what oftentimes people call it. Say the children, young child, age 3, age 1. When they are born, they have no idea. They have no idea who is the mother, who is a nurse. When they are born, there's no idea. And some people may challenge me by saying that no, they have some idea. When they're in when they're in the mother's womb, there's communication happening, which is just on a very small scale. That's true, but it's not to the extent that you are my mom. No, not to that extent. In most of the cases, in other words, day 1 we don't know the mother, and when you are 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, the moment you see the prospect of you getting separated from your mother, you cannot control your tears. You scream. That's the reality. Okay, so what made you to feel so connected with your mother at that age, when you were age 2, 3, 4? Why? What made you go to that extent of the emotion? So the answer you would say is that because I love my mom so much at that age. Now I don't know. At that age, you are so vulnerable. So this mother is the one who is giving you love and affection. And then if I ask you, what made this young child, love the mother so much? Why? What made that child love the mother so much? And most of you will say that because this child gets the maximum love and affection and the benefit from the mother. In other words, we will all agree that this child senses that this mother is a source of benefit. So therefore, we call that as the mother is being so kind to me. So the meaning of the kindness is that that I receive the maximum benefit from this. So today, what I like to tell each one of you is that let us begin the day, begin this course by the two statements. Number one is, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Number two, be wisely kind to yourself. This is so important. Be kind to yourself and be wisely kind to yourself. Here, with this in mind, be kind to yourself. Don't be kind to Buddhist. Don't be kind to philosophy. Be kind to yourself. Right? So, this Nalanda diploma course, if that helps you, if that is of benefit for you, embrace it. That is being kind to yourself. In other words, be kind to yourself means that try to give the maximum happiness to you and try to make yourself stay away from miseries. In other words, take yourself away from miseries and the fears as much as possible. This should be a goal. And whether you're Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. Everyone is seeking that. Everyone is seeking to get rid of the miseries, and everyone is seeking to get the maximum happiness. This is the reality, and this we should not forget. This is the meaning of be kind to yourself. And then let's say that after 10 years, 2031, after 10 years, okay, most of you are very young, and then after 10 years, most likely you will have extra white hair. When that happens, oh no, I'm so frustrated. Nothing's really working in my favor. Everything's going so bad. Oh, I remember 10 years ago, 2021, I applied for a course known as something, which place? Tibet Center, Tibet something. But the day one, that person said, be kind to yourself. Okay, so I should be kind to myself. So now I feel so agitated, nothing is in my favor. So I should go to the pubs. I should go to the pubs and just enjoy the drink, right? He said, be kind to yourself. Okay, so here you did not forget the first line, be kind to yourself, but you forgot the second line, be wisely kind to yourself. Which means that not forgetting the first line. Be kind to yourself. Be kind. Be kind means to give yourself happiness and stay away from miseries, stay away from fears. Now, be wisely kind to yourself means these miseries that you have to shun and the happiness that you embrace. These are not something that randomly comes to you. These are something that come to you by dependence on their respective causes. So, be wisely kind to yourself means do those things, embrace those causes which will actually give rise to happiness, and stay away from those causes which actually give rise to miseries. This is the meaning of be wisely kind to yourself. So, this course, Nalanda diploma course, this should not be seen as a way for you to become a Buddhist. This should be seen as a ways for you to become a happier person, a more decent person. If you're a Hindu, more decent, more sensible Hindu, somebody who embraces the whole world with a sense of sisterhood and brotherhood. If you're Christian, that this should help you. This should help you to become a more mature Christian, to embrace the whole world with love and affection, not isolating, not ending up in conflicts with people of other religions. Likewise, Islam, Judaism, Baha'i, Zoroastrianism, Jainism, Sikhism, any religion. The point is that make sure that you are happy. Make sure that you embrace the causes of happiness. Make sure that you don't suffer. You don't go through fears. Make sure that you get rid of the causes of the fears. This should be the goal of our Nalanda Diploma Course Batch 3. So, having said this, as I said earlier, every class we begin with some prayers, and these prayers, of course, we see the use of word, the Buddha and so forth. We will learn more. We'll learn more as to the Buddha. Buddha doesn't mean only the historical Buddha, which then it comes with the Buddhism as opposed to, other religions. This is not the connotation. Buddha means somebody who's awakened. Awakened. This is the meaning of the Buddha in Sanskrit. Somebody who's awakened. Anybody from any religion, they say you are male, female, it doesn't matter. We will eventually learn that everyone has the same capacity, whether you are a girl or a boy, whether you're educated or uneducated, whether you're Eastern or Westerner. Okay, there's an introduction happening. Just please check that you are muted. Still, we can see that we can hear. Okay, so eventually we will learn that we all have the same capacity. We all have the same capacity. It doesn't matter whether you are male or female, whether you are following this religion, that religion, or whether you're not following any religion. It doesn't matter. Finally, the point is that you should be a happy person. You should be the wise person. This is what is expected. So with this in mind, let's not forget how we begin this Nalanda Diploma courses. The one that be kind to yourself and be wisely kind to yourself. And the full import of these two lines we should be able to understand as we come closer to the end of Nalanda Diploma course this batch. Okay. And as I said earlier, these prayers that we say, you find the words like Buddha and so forth. And the point is that Buddha simply means awakened one. For example, Jesus Christ, he is one example. Having heard the story of the compassion demonstrated by Jesus Christ, it really creates such goosebumps on my body. So when you say the awakened one, Buddha, the awakened one, Jesus Christ is the awakened one. So if you follow Christianity, you can think of Jesus Christ. If you follow Hinduism, you can think of Ram. You can think of Krishna. If you follow Islam, you can think of Prophet Muhammad. And likewise, for Jainism, you can think of the various Tirthankas, Mahavir. So likewise, you can think of these different, your own, the prophet, the teachers of the religions that you believe in. That's perfect. That's perfect. Finally, the goal is that we should become a very sensible, responsible citizen of the world. You should become a happy person. And then you should be wise to get rid of miseries and to embrace happiness and expand this happiness, export this happiness to your family members and to all the people of the world. So this is what is expected. And for the prayers, I personally, for example, there's one monk from the Hinduism, Ramakrishna mission, one monk, elderly monk, who passed away already. And even today, I miss him a lot. Because I can see the incredible purity and the humanity in this great monk. Likewise, I have friends from different religions, and that good people are everywhere in the different traditions, amongst the males, amongst the females. Good people we can see everywhere. This is reality. And with this, In other words, the openness. Openness, and that you should become happier. Make sure that you should become happier, and then you export this happiness to others, make others happier. In other words, don't disrupt the world, construct the world. This is a message from Nalanda Dharma course. Don't disrupt the world. We are not born to disrupt the world. In the facade of religion, in the facade of being a Buddhist, or being being whatever religion that you're following, in that facade and in the as a sense of patriotism towards the religion, then creating conflicts, you are destroying the world. You are born here not to destroy the world. If you cannot construct the world, at least don't destroy the world. This is very important for all of us. Okay, so with this mind, the first thing that is required is the openness in your mind. For example, for me, when I go to give public addresses in the universities, in the institutions, oftentimes I begin with one story. And I don't know how many of you know this story. I'll share the story with you very quickly. Okay. And some of you may think that the moment I share the story, you hear part of it, you get it. Okay, yeah, I know this story. There's a different message. The story was that there was a girl who was on the verge to be stoned to death by some men, some men, 4 or 5 men. They were almost on the verge to stone the girl to death for adultery. Then a gentleman appeared. And the gentleman told these men, what are you doing? And they mentioned about what this girl did. And they were stoning her to death. And the gentleman said that, that's fine. The first person to hit stone to this girl, should be the one who did not commit any evil in your life. Everybody dropped their stones. Everybody dropped. Because everybody committed some evils in this life. Everybody dropped. Everybody left. Then I asked the audience, huge audience, like thousands of students. I asked, do you like this person? Do you like this? Do you really appreciate this gentleman? Everybody said, yes, yes, yes. And I asked them, do you know who this gentleman is? No idea, except for only a few Christians who said, this is Jesus Christ. Okay, if I begin the story by saying that these men, they are about to stone the girl to death. And the Jesus Christ appeared. Then all those who are not non-Christians, they will block their ears and they'll run away. They'll not listen to the story. If I said a gentleman appeared, they will all listen to it. Not only they listen to it, they appreciate this gentleman. Wow, that's amazing. So courageous, profoundly compassionate. Okay. So, which means that when I share the story, without qualifying that as Jesus Christ, everybody's happy. The moment I qualify that as Jesus Christ, only Christians are happy. Non-Christians, most non-Christians will say, okay, again a story, right? Whereas without the label Jesus Christ, it's not a story, it's a very pleasant, it's not just a story, it's a very encouraging inspiration. Okay, what I'm saying is the openness is required. The labels should not obstruct us. Labels should not bar us from seeing a deeper, beautiful reality. And these beautiful realities you find in all the religions. For example, that this story, this is something which is so close to my heart. The story of Jesus Christ is so amazingly courageous and profoundly compassionate. So what I'm saying is that this is how we need to have the sense of openness. So with this in mind, we begin with some prayers, and then you can include your own, the great inspirations that you've in your own life. not necessarily the historic or the what related to theology. Even somebody who was your school teacher was great inspiration to you. And just you can think of these. Finally, we have to receive the blessings in the form of inspirations, in compassion, and in your wisdom. That's what's required. So, with this in mind, today I'd like to share you this philosophy and this compassion. In a way, is universal, which we're going to study. So, one of the great inspirations for us is, say, the Buddha Shakyamuni. So today, this philosophy, how that came into existence. That is what I'm going to just give you a very quick overview of that. And the caption of this class is the biography of the Buddha. Biography of the Buddha. And let us not tell the Buddha, oh, the enlightened being. No, let's not begin from there. Let us begin from what you are seeking. What are you seeking? And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is extremely practical, and in fact, I hardly saw His Holiness when somebody becomes sick. You request His Holiness for some prayers. His Holiness will say that, okay, you go to this hospital, you go to that hospital. He will never say that, yes, I did the prayer, right? Okay, now you will be cured. He never says this. He will say, go to this hospital, go to this hospital. And if you say that, okay, all the doctors, allopathic doctors, they gave up on me, then His Holiness will go to Tibetan doctor. He'll make sure that you take care of physically. He will not just go to the blind faith. He will say that, take care of you with your physical ailment, go for the doctors. So this also reminds me of another anecdote. One morning, I received a call from a lady I know, who has been studying with me. And she said, Geshe, I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. But are you okay? She said, no, Geshe, I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, okay, that's fine. You can give up Buddhism. Are you okay? You should be happy. And she said, no, I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, okay, then tell me what happened. And she said that the last 3 years I've been praying to Buddha, I've been praying to Tara, I've been praying to Buddha, I've been praying to Tara. Oh, what prayer? What prayer were you doing? And she said, what for? She said that I'm praying because my brother, he's not getting a job. And for the last years I was praying to the Buddha, please give job to my brother. I was praying to Tara, please give job to my brother. I said, okay, now I know why you are Buddhist. Because you want a job for your brother. Then I told her that if you want your brother to get a job, don't become a Buddhist. Don't become a Buddhist, but don't even pray to the Buddha. If you want a job for your brother, what you do is that you tell your brother, don't go to the pubs. Stay home, study well, sit for the competitive exams, crack the exams, and get a decent job. You don't become a Buddhist. You don't pray to the Buddha. Just tell your brother, don't go to the pubs. Don't waste your time. Study well, sit for the competitive exams, then crack the exams, get a decent job. This is what you should be doing. So I told her that if you're hungry, don't pray to Buddha, go to kitchen. If you're sick, don't pray to Buddha, go to hospital. This is the meaning of how realistic we should be. We should be very realistic. With this in mind, the biography that we're going to learn today is going to be slightly different slightly different in the sense the format will be a little different from how that is the told be told in the storybooks or in the various the Jataka tales and so forth. So the point is, this biography that I'm going to share with you is in line with the how that is put forth in by the great the logician, Buddhist logician in 6th century AD. In 6th century AD, the author, this great master is known as Acharya Dignaga. Acharya Dignaga, a great Buddhist logician, and he just wrote 2 lines, which is an extremely profoundly a profound biography of the Buddha. And people just took it as just 2 lines. And then 100 years later, another logician came, and whose name is Acharya Dharmakirti. And if you're going to continue with the studies, not in a diploma course, then followed by another master's course, then you will these 2 names will ring your ear so often. Acharya Dignaga, followed by Acharya Dharmakirti. Acharya Dharmakirti, he read these 2 lines and he was fascinated by the depth of the message in these 2 lines. And what are these 2 lines? These two lines, we read every day for every session of a class. It reads. It is from Pramana Samuchaya, the text written by Acharya Dignaga. Pramana Samuchaya, just 2 lines, which reads, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit all the beings. The teacher, Sugata, protector, to you I make frustrations. Let me repeat it. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata, protector, to you I make frustrations. Okay, don't worry. So these 2 lines we will say before we begin every session, and the meanings we're going to learn just now here. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide. Say, let's say that you have to go to a place, a foreign place, which you don't know at all about, and you are a little apprehensive. What is the extent of COVID spread there? And what about the facilities available, the weather, the people? That's a tremendous, apprehension within you. And then particularly if the place is very far away, you have never heard about this place before, and for a job purpose you have to go there, and quite risky. And suddenly you come across a person, who you know so well, and the person was very familiar with this particular place. And you'll be so happy. Okay, now I've found a perfect person who can guide me, with which I can feel so comfortable, and I can comfortably go there, and no problem. So, in other words, the point is that whenever we want to go to a place, unknown place, we need a guide. And now we are from the first 2 lines, how we began our class, that be kind to yourself. Be wisely kind to yourself. The first one, be kind to yourself, which means give yourself the happiness and take yourself away from suffering. What degree of happiness do you want? If this is my question to you, what's your response? I said that give yourself happiness. What degree of happiness do you want? 10%? 20%? 50%? If possible, 100%. Raise your hands who agree with me. If possible, 100%. Very good. Okay. Whether or not you are going to get 100%, this is a different story. Whether or not you're going to get 100%, this is a different story. At least, if it is possible, 100%. Okay. And you also, how to be kind to yourself, if possible, to get rid of your miseries, to get rid of your fears. What degree of fear do you want to get rid of? 10%? 50%? If possible, 100%. Raise hands. If possible, 100%. Very good. Okay, who is that? Who is that? Who are those people who raise their hands? Boys to the girls? Both, right? Who are those who are below 20 or above 20? Both. Or from the Easterner or Westerner? Both. Buddhist or non-Buddhist? Both. Okay. From this we see that these two aspirations, they are universal in nature. Universal. It's not that if you're a Buddhist, you have this aspiration. If you're non-Buddhist, you don't have this aspiration. Or if you are a Jew, you have this aspiration. If you're non-Jew, you don't have the aspiration. No, these are universal values. These are universal values. Okay, with this in mind, now the next point is that I want to get rid of my miseries. If possible, 100%, get rid of miseries completely and embrace the maximum happiness. Whether or not it's possible, that is a different story. We'll leave it some other day. For the time being, this is my aspiration. If this is my aspiration, how many have fulfilled this aspiration thus far? Thus far? Huh? Just raise your hands. How many of you fulfilled this aspiration fully? Okay, nobody. That's strange. Okay, nobody. Okay, now since that we have never been to that place, right? We have never been to that place, and most likely on this earth today, how many people actually went to that place where suffering is zero and the happiness maximum? How many of the people went there? Most likely not. Right? Very difficult to see people who actually been there. Now we are trying to go there. Because we are trying to go there, it's going to be a very alien place. We have never been there. We have no experience. We need a guide. We need a guide. What kind of guide are you going to seek? This question. What kind of guide are you going to seek? So, in the history, there are so many great teachers like Jesus Christ, the Buddha, Mahavir, Zoroaster, Bahula, Ram, Prophet Muhammad, Guru Nanak. So many teachers, and then Abraham. So many teachers appeared on this earth. It's so important for us to read the biographies of these teachers. For example, I personally read, of course, we read Ramayana, and then Jesus Christ I read a lot, and also I read Prophet Muhammad's biography. So what I'm saying is that we learn from these biographies. What do we learn from the Buddha's biography? Because this is a place where we have never been there. So we have to look for a guide who is very competent. Oh, there's a person by the name Dorji. He's going to be a guide. How do we know? Don't follow blindly. How do we know? Okay, let us put a question mark there, right? Oh no. There's a person by the name James. You know, he comes out in the television so often times, right? I have the supernatural power and so forth. Oh, he may be the best of the guide. How do I know? You should ask this question. How do I know? Right? I'm not saying that person is not the best of the guide, but how do I know? Even though the person be the best of the guide, but if I don't know, then this does not help. I should know. How can I know? This is question. This is a spirit that we need to have. How do I know? In other words, never follow blindly. This is so important. Never follow blindly. Following somebody blindly, this is very dangerous. Never follow blindly. Okay, so then there was a young prince by the name Siddharth, and he later became the awakened one. And there were so many followers. It doesn't mean that if there are so many followers that he's the reliable guide. It doesn't mean that. How do you know that is a reliable guide? This is a question. This is a question. This is not of blasphemy. If you ask this question, if you question whether or not even the Buddha is the reliable guide, this is not blasphemy. I cannot speak on behalf of other religions, but for Buddha, I can say this. If you ask this, you can ask this question. You can freely ask this question. In other words, your happiness is your happiness. So you should choose it correctly. In other words, don't follow blindly. Following blindly, this is the most dangerous weapon in the world. Following blindly. So, how do I know that the Buddha is the reliable guide? Yes, I want to go to a place which is unknown. I've never been there. The place where suffering is zero and the place where the happiness is maximum. I've never been there. I need a guide, a reliable guide. So who is that guide? Right? Okay, for that matter, it is not only that you ask the question, who is that guide? You should also have the sensibility to validate that this person is a true guide or not. You should have the skill. And this skill can be cultivated. Don't think that, okay, now look, I started with the NDC, thinking that, I'll get so many things. Now he said that you should have the skill to validate. I don't have, when in school, I'm not doing good in my studies, so I don't have that skill. Okay, now there's no hope. No, even this skill can be cultivated, believe it or not. Simply because you are not doing well in school doesn't mean that you cannot cultivate the skill. You can cultivate the skill, provided you have the enthusiasm, you have the passion to invoke this skill. Skill in validating, skill in questioning, skill in validating what you believe in. This is so important. We all can enrich the skill. So how do we do that? Okay, just as I discussed with you, just see if you, and it is not necessary that, now I follow the Buddha. No, don't do that. You can appreciate the Buddha. It doesn't mean that you should follow the Buddha. You can appreciate. For example, I appreciate Jesus Christ so much. Not only I appreciate it, at the core of my being, there's a tremendous admiration. And I see that in the followers of Jesus Christ. Some who are so genuinely kind, compassionate. I could see that. So the point is that in the history of the humanity, 2,500 years ago, there was the prince by the name Siddharth. Yes, I know that. So what? So this prince, what he did, most of you might have read his the biography, the story, the Jataka tales and so forth, where, this prince, he met with 3-4 sights, right? The old person, sick person, and so forth. Okay, these stories, are they true, not true? They are true. But sometimes these stories are created in such a way that it's sort of like, on the one hand, the people depict the Buddha, this Prince Siddhartha, as extremely intelligent. On the other hand, how the story was told was made as though he is the extremely unintelligent. For example, say his charioteer, at what is his name? Anyone who remembers the name of the charioteer? Raise hands if you remember. No one. Okay, Then again the story, tell the story in any ways I like. Divesha, you remember? Channa, Channa, Channa. Thank you so much. Thank you, Channa. So the Prince Siddhartha was considered as extremely, extremely brilliant when he was born. At the same time, the story was conveyed in such a way that he is such an unintelligent person. How? Okay, this prince, he wanted to explore the world. Then he took the charioteer, Channa, his childhood friend, Channa, as a charioteer. He was going there, and he met with the old person. Even nowadays, the young children, age 15, 16, 17, 18. If you ask them, everybody will become old if they don't die too early. Everyone become old. But the storytellers, they say that, the Prince Siddhartha, he met an old person. And then who's this? This is an old person suffering of the old age. And asked Channa, is this something which hit me also? Channa said, yes. This does not depict that Prince Siddhartha was very intelligent. Whereas the story has it that he was born as extremely, extremely intelligent. He really excelled in all arts, literature, and so forth. So, what's the real story? What's the real story which can be acceptable? If you look at his contributions later on, after becoming the Buddha Shakyamuni, what he contributed. Look at these. So what story? What really happened? Okay. So what happened was that he was a prince. Of course, yes, he was a prince. Then while he was a prince, what he witnessed was of course, very compassionate, extraordinarily compassionate prince. Very courageous. So what he noticed in the palace was that the biases, then the corruptions, scandals, then bully, all these he could witness in the palace. Because in the palace, or part of the palace was a prison. So he could see people were taken as the prisoners and being tortured there. He could see all these things. And then meanwhile, in those days, so many wars being waged. Wars waged amongst the kingdoms. And then he could see the wars where he was involved. He could see the death of so many innocent people. These are the realities. So with these, then, this Prince Siddhartha, young prince, he was just wondering with tremendous compassion towards the beings. How can I help these beings? If I become the king, if I lead the way his father led his life, Prince Siddhartha was going to become a king. Will I be in a position to help all the people of my kingdom and the people from the other kingdoms as well? No, look at my father. He could not even protect his own the people in the kingdom. So many wars were happening from the other kingdoms. And the other kingdoms are also suffering so much. So, simply by becoming the next king, I do not have the capacity to help the world. What can I do? So I have to look for an alternative way. So this is what made Prince Siddhartha leave the palace. So Prince Siddhartha, he left the palace out of compassion. Out of compassion, wanting to help all the beings be freed from suffering, which we are seeking. We all said that I'm seeking the infinite happiness. I'm seeking to get rid of all my miseries. This is what was in his mind. And he was not really thinking about, okay, who are those people who will follow me? I will help them. Who are those who don't follow me? I will not. No, this is not the point. What motivated him was, how can I help the world that suffering becomes zero and the happiness becomes infinite? This is what made him to leave the palace. In other words, he left the palace with the motivation of altruism to benefit all the beings, number one. So, he left the palace. Now, leaving the palace, simply by leaving the palace does not fulfill the purpose. So, leaving the palace, he should be doing something. So, what did he do? he has to learn how to get rid of the problems of, he need to learn how to get rid of the problems of the beings. He need to learn how to embrace the happiness, maximum happiness. He need to learn this. For that, he needs help. So first he sought the help of the first teacher. His first teacher was Acharya Acharya Alara Kalam. Acharya Alara Kalam. He sought the help of Acharya Alara Kalam. And Acharya Alara Kalam, he was somebody who has attained an extremely profound meditative power. Extremely profound meditative power. The Acharya Alakram reached that at the very high level, and later on we will learn into more technically. At the moment, I'm going to give it very not too technical. They say it's samadhi, very high level, but not the highest. Samadhi meditation. And then the Prince Siddhartha, he got the teachings from his first teacher, and very soon, because of this passion, as I told you earlier, in order to really enrich your skills, enrich your intelligence, what you really require is one thing. This is a passion, desire, aspiration to sharpen your intelligence. So this Prince Siddhartha, he had incredible the passion, incredible desire to reach that level whereby he can help all the beings. Then he reached at the same level as the teacher Acharya Alarkalam, and then he requested for more teachings. And the teacher said that now there's no more teaching. You have already reached the same level as spiritual realizations as I have, and now stay with me. All my students are your students, so teach them, guide them. And then Prince Siddhartha said that, sir, no, I do not find the solution to get rid of all the fears and to embrace the maximum happiness for all the beings. Then he sought the help of the second teacher. Second teacher was Acharya Udrega. Acharya Udrega, second teacher. And the second teacher actually reached a higher level. In fact, in the samsaric sense, he reached the highest meditative state. Highest meditative state. Later on, you will learn the technicalities, which is also referred to as the meditative state of the peak of existence. Peak of existence. He reached that level, and then Prince Siddhartha again received teachings from him. Practiced. And within a short span of time, he reached the same level as the second teacher. And again, he asked for more teachings. And the second teacher said that, no, there's nothing more than this. This is the ultimate. You have attained enlightenment. So stay with me. All my students are your students. Guide them. And again, the Prince Siddhartha said that, no, I do not get the solution to help all the beings. Then Prince Siddhartha, for 6 years, he went through the practice of the austerity, and then finally under the Bodhi tree, and I'm sure many of you been there to Bodhi tree in Bihar, under the Bodhi tree. Then he set for this final enlightenment, and he attained enlightenment there. Okay, so from this, if you look at this biography, what happened first? He left the palace. This first part. Left the palace out of great compassion, wanting to get into all the miseries of the other beings and to give the maximum happiness to all beings. This is the motivation with which he left the palace. First part of the story. Second part of the story, he sought the help of the teachers. Because finally that he found the solution. He should be able to help the beings. How to help the beings? By showing the light of the path. Light of the path. He has to show the light of the path. For that matter, he should know the path himself. To show this path to the ultimate happiness, you should know the path yourself first. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. Now, this Prince Siddhartha, finally, with 6 years of practice, he got this path. What is that path? This is what we have to study for initially for 10 months, and if you're interested, for the next 5 years. Okay, so he found the path, and finding the path, he has to experiment it. For example, COVID-19. Oh, so we have been waiting for this COVID vaccine for the since 2020, since the beginning of 2020, and waiting for, and then we come to hear that, okay, the various pharmacies, they already invented the vaccines, but then they cannot inject right away. They have to go through trial. What does it mean by trial? Anybody? And particularly, finally, it should go through the human trial, not just the trial, right? Okay, anybody, what does it mean by trial? Anybody raise hands? Anybody raise hands? Anybody? Okay, maybe Gayatriji, you like to say something? What is human trial? See. Okay, Dibeshla, Gayatriji, just... Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, do you agree with me? The human trial means, do you all agree with me that they've developed the vaccine and you have to look for the efficacy of this vaccine, whether it is effective. Before you market it, it must be tested. It must go through the various stages of the tests to test the efficacy of this vaccine. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Now, this Prince Siddharth, he found this path which has the ability to get rid of all the sufferings and to embrace the maximum happiness. So he found this path. Now he has to experiment it on himself. So to see the efficacy of that, he experimented on himself. So this made him to go through 6 years of practice, intense practice. That is the third part of the story. The first part of the story is that he left the palace out of the motivation of great compassion. Number two, second part of the story is that he was looking for a teacher. Teacher in order to find the path which he is to teach all the beings. Number two, the path which he is to searching for the path which he has to teach all the beings, to protect all the beings. And number three, this path he should first experiment it on himself to see the efficacy of this path. So he meditated the path which he discovered, which you will later come to know, which is known as the wisdom of emptiness and wisdom of dependent origination. The path that he discovered is the wisdom of emptiness and the wisdom of dependent origination. This wisdom is the path which he discovered, number three. Then this number two. Then number three is he has to experiment it on himself to see if it really works, to get rid of all the miseries and to have the maximum happiness. So he experimented on this for 6 years. With the 6 years of experimentation, he succeeded in getting rid of all the miseries, getting rid of all the fears of life, and to embrace the maximum happiness. He experimented it himself. So this is known as the Sugata. Sugata meaning the one who has gone to the bliss of perfection. The one who has gone to the bliss of perfection. The bliss of perfection meaning no fears and infinite happiness. He experimented, he experienced that himself. That is number three. Sugata, number three. With this confidence, with this Sugata that he experienced, then he becomes so confident. Now I have found the path. Now I found the path which is so 100% efficacy. With 100% efficacy, now I can go to share this to protect all the beings. Number four, he became the protector. Okay, so this is his life story. This is life story. With this life story, then Okay, oh, if this is how when he went through, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm also following this journey. The journey to get rid of all my miseries. And the journey to embrace the maximum happiness through this unknown destination of total fearlessness and infinite happiness. This is the journey that I'm supposed to be taking. Now there's somebody there 2,500 years ago by the name Prince Siddharth. He followed this journey, and with step one, wanting to bend all the beings, then looking for teacher, then experimenting what the path that he found on himself, and becoming Sugata, experiencing Sugata, the bliss of perfection. And then he achieved he got this confidence to share this what is found to all the beings, to go to protect the beings. Okay. Oh, if this is how this Prince Siddharth followed the journey, then I've just a perfect guide. I've the perfect guide. So this is how even the biographies, they're not just for the sake of reading a biography or it's a fun, but to take lesson out of that. Okay, this is how I should be following. Okay, so likewise, we can read the biographies of Guru Nanak. We can read the biographies of, the Jesus Christ, Bahula, extremely inspiring. Bahula's biography, Baha'i, the founder, and Tis, the one who made the prophecy of Bahula, Bab, just amazing. Read the stories, really the embodiment of the humanity. Really so courageous to work for the humanity. That's very inspiring. Okay, so likewise, the story of the Ram is very inspiring, and the story of Guru Nanak, extremely inspiring, very, very inspiring, so inspiring. So basically, we read these biographies and take the message out of that. Don't take the blinded stories, but the real messages which can actually help you, to grow. Okay, this is what is the expected. Okay, so if you look at this biography, then say the line there, two lines in the Pramana Samuchaya by Acharya Dignaga said, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. This is what we are seeking. And how? Then 4 steps are said. Motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata, protector, to you I make prostrations. Okay, this is the biography of the Buddha. So meanwhile, for this Nalanda diploma course, what I would suggest is that for sure, many of you are already exposed to some kinds of rituals, say like Dharma and so forth, and where if you have any question like, okay, why do we have to recite these every day? In fact, where there was some in one center, we conduct what is known as a Bodhicitta retreat. Bodhicitta retreat, sometimes 7 days, sometimes 10 days. The earlier times, we do it for like 15 days. And for the Bodhicitta retreat, every morning we do some prayers, and the same thing every day. And some of the people, they asked this question, a very interesting question. They said that, okay, now we already know the meaning of these lines. We all know the meaning. So why do we have to repeat it every day? Once you know 2 + 3 = 5, I told you to repeat it every day. I know it already, so why should I have to repeat it? Okay, like this. Feel free to bring up all these questions. They are extremely, extremely helpful, because no doubt you have many questions pertaining to your encounter with Buddhism, your encounter you encounter with the Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Jews, whatever religion, or so, and your, let's say, the cultural or societal, the practices, and for sure you have many questions. So feel free to bring them up. In other words, I really encourage. It doesn't mean that I have all the answers. Don't expect that, I have all the answers. The point is that we have to bring these questions up. And for me, your questions would be the greatest treat for me. Your questions. These questions will make me grow in my thinking. So likewise, not only me, all the friends, they will grow from your questions. So your questions are so precious. Don't feel that, okay, if I ask this question, it can be very offensive, it can be blasphemous. Don't ever think like this. Please feel free to ask questions. And it doesn't mean, as I said earlier, I'm reiterating this, that some can be extremely profound questions that I may not have to answer. In which case, we can ask the same question to other teachers. This is how we grow. We all collectively grow. Okay, so now, before we wind up for today, I'd like to entertain one or two questions if you have. Just raise hands. Feel free to raise hands. Or related to the course, to this course. If you have any question that you want to ask me, just feel free. Huh? Shabna? Okay.
Geshe,
Yes.
my question is, what in your view is the benefit or importance of aligning to an organized religion as opposed to an individual path of spiritual seeking?
Okay. This is a good question. The organized religion, as a personal seeker, just as somebody as a personal seeker, seeking one's own path, and or following an organized religion. What I would say is that don't be scared. First, don't go there thinking that miracles will happen. What is important is that I should be a decent human being. I should be decent. First, see if I can be a decent human being. Where, say, my husband, my wife, I shout at my husband, I shout at my wife. If this is who I am, I shout at my mother. If this is who I am, first of all, by following any religion, my personal religion or for organized religion, whatever, should make me stop shouting at your parents. Stop shouting at the people who love you. That is so important. Just see if that is happening. If that is not happening, the point is defeated. Whether you're following the organized religion or organized religion or institutionalized religion, or you follow your personal path, whatever your purpose is defeated. The first thing is charity begins at home. Make sure that your home becomes a home. That your family members, they feel comfortable to be with you. This is what we have to make number one. This is number one important thing. If you cannot do this, no matter how much, even if you can levitate on the air, you can fly in the air, millions of people will, revere you, but you cannot even do the basic thing which ordinary people can do to make the family happy. This is number one thing. Then number two thing is that with you being able to make the family happy, then see if you're able to make your neighborhood happy. That at the workplace people are happier to be with you. And then you're able to really think about the worldly the global matters or the national matters to really contribute to spread the message of compassion, spread the message of love and affection towards the world. Just see if that is happening. If that is happening, you are on the proper track. If that is not happening, then the purpose is defeated. So therefore, say to follow up the organized religion or institutionalized religion, There's nothing wrong in it, but the only thing is that sometimes you can end up into blind faith. Once you end up into the blind faith, then it can be very dangerous. To come out of that is difficult, and then you get in there, you can become a contributor of the violence in the world. You can become the contributor of the destruction of the world. It's very dangerous. In other words, don't forget it, your religion should be kind to yourself and be wisely kind to yourself. This is your religion. Let's not forget it. Okay, next question. Okay, Navita Varsha.
Know which story is true. Like
Oh,
Buddha's story that you told me was 2,500 years ago. How do I believe that that is true? How do I know that?
Okay, this is a very good question. Thank you. Whose story is correct? There are so many stories. Whose story is correct? Okay. A story, it has two parts. Say the okay. You are interested in the story of the person, or you are interested in the contents of the story of the person. Story of the person, okay, he became enlightened, he flew, he performed miracles. These are the stories, right? And with this story, does it help you? Does it help your family become more happy? Right? Okay, now Navita has become, now Navita has started to fly, right? If that happens, that's amazing. Or now Navita has become more compassionate, right? Okay, now Navita has dropped her temper. That's amazing. Okay, so say, oh, now Navita can fly, others cannot fly. You're getting it? Oh, now Navita has dropped her temper, others can drop the temper. So the point is that stories and the contents of the story, the message that you extract out of that, simply because the Buddha flew, Buddha did a miracle. Okay, yes, he did perform the miracles. But this is, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's simply because he flew or he performed a miracle. I cannot perform a miracle. So this is not a message that I want from this. What message do I want? My emotions, I have an anger issue there, right? I have a fear issue there. With the COVID, there's so much of feeling of fear, uncertainty, feeling of uncertainty. How many of you had the uncertainty feeling when the feeling of the uncertainty when you first heard about the COVID and the COVID is now spreading, now reach your next building? Raise hands. Who had the feeling of uncertainty? Fear. Raise hands. Of course, all of us. So just see that if from there you can extract a message, you apply it in your life, and then this fear subsides. And subsiding the fear has many layers. Many layers. You can remove the first layer, the very gross ones, easier. Then the second layer, third layer, fourth layer. This is how we have to check. So this is the meaning of the experimenting to see the efficacy of this story. To see how efficacious this story is. This story, whether or not that is how efficacious that is, that we have to evaluate it. For that matter, we must have to have a sense of open-mindedness and some degree of intelligence. Two things are required. Two things are required. Good? Huh? Okay. There's a question, question from DELL to everyone. Okay, there's a question there which reads, why do we pray? Does praying help us achieve Buddhahood? Okay. I'd like to share an anecdote. In fact, this world, since 0.3 million years ago, which means 300,000 years ago, people have been praying. Right? People have been praying. This is a fact. So we don't really have to, check with somebody else. if the prayers really have the capacity to remove all our problems, by now there should be no problems, because millions and millions and millions of people have prayed for the last 300,000 years. This is a fact. This is a fact. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he says something very interesting. Once His Holiness was invited by the Chief Minister of Bihar for a program. And the Chief Minister, during his address of the public, he said that Bihar, this is the land of the Buddha. With the blessings of the Buddha, we pray, right? We pray that Bihar become successful. So next was the address by His Holiness. So His Holiness stood up, and His Holiness said that if only the prayers help. Since the Buddha's time, people have been praying, and the Bihar should be the richest country, richest state now. But it still remains so poor. So now the blessings of the Buddha, if there's a blessing of the Buddha, by the prayers, this has been done all these many years. Something should have happened, but it did not happen. Now, the blessings are there, no doubt, but the blessings must come through the Chief Minister's hand. Chief Minister should be more realistic, more practical, to make sure the Buddha's blessings, they are working. Chief Minister has to prove it. His Holiness is so practical. This is what I'm saying. So the point is that prayers, do they help? Yes, of course. There's a benefit. But it's not that every prayers will be answered. Not true. Not true. So, but the prayers do help. In some cases, people who have a tremendous faith in the prayers, if you say the prayer doesn't help, then the whole faith is shaken. Person becomes extremely disturbed. Why should you harm that person? Why should you harm that person to make the other person unhappy by saying their prayers do not work? You should be realistic, right? If the person really strongly believes in this, if there's no other choice for the person instead of other than the prayers to make him or her happy, let him do that. Let him be happy with this. Why should you disturb that person? But in actuality, I said earlier, if you're hungry, don't pray. Go to the kitchen. If you're sick, don't pray. Go to the hospital, right? Go to hospital, and then the doctors cannot manage what the doctor cannot manage, then leave the hope on the prayers. If you go to kitchen, kitchen is empty. You put all the efforts, nothing is happening, and then you are still hungry. Then leave it on the prayers. It may be answered. Prayers have a tremendous power, but it requires the facet. It requires the one element of an incredible, say, the conviction and the faith within. When that is missing, no matter how much you pray, it will not be efficacious. Good question. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll stop here for today. And okay. So today we do not really begin with the prayer. We do not really end with the anti-religion prayer. So what we do is that it's an auspicious indication. We'll start this Heart Sutra mantra. Deyatha gade gade para sam gade bodhi swaha. The meaning of which is that finally we're going to learn over the next few days that finally how to get rid of all my fears. How to have the maximum happiness is tackling inside. And tackling inside, like, say, each one of us, we have the gold inside, the gold of perfection inside. Each one of us, it doesn't matter what religion that you're following. It doesn't matter. Everyone, whether you're a girl or a boy, whether you're educated or uneducated, whether you're a believer or non-believer, it doesn't matter. Everyone has this, the seed of perfection. The gold-like, pure gold-like seed of perfection. Unfortunately, that is mixed with the dirt. So our job is to remove the dirt and the gold will glow. So what is Dharma? What is Dharma? What is spiritual practice? A real spiritual practice is a practice to cleanse your mind of the mental defilements so that the goal inside, the goal of the perfection becomes manifest. That is your dharma. So, this mantra which we're going to recite now, Tyatha Gade. Tyatha means here is thus. Here's how we have to embrace the maximum happiness. Here's how we have to get into all the miseries. How? 5 steps. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhi swaha. 5 steps. What are these 5 steps? They have their own respective representations, symbolism. So this all we'll study later. For the time being, the 5 steps of cleansing our mind. Cleansing our mind so that perfect purity manifests from inside, that you become totally free of all the fears and embrace the maximum happiness. Okay. So we will. I can see that there are many of us here who know, who does this prayer recitation for the last many years. In some cases, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, so forth. We'll say this together, and those of us who are new, you just listen to us, and then you can join us. Okay. Shugela, the mantra is available. Screen sharing. Thank you. Okay. Okay, now just let us visualize that your 2 parents, all your family members, including your children, they're all with you, and imagine that, okay, now I will learn how to seek the happiness from inside. I will learn how to get rid of all the miseries from inside. So by following the path to remove my mental stains, remove my mental defilements. Okay. Teata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Okay, thank you all of you.